Oh, yeah, there he is. I'm sorry. I just, yeah, Mark, and I thought he was going to call in. Okay. All right, well, it's time, once again. So let's call the meeting to order. Are we on the air? Is this a hot mic?
Get a little closer.
To the mic?
To the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, not to me.
Because I'm a married man, I don't, All right. I'll call on Sheriff McAndrew to open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Yes, sir, Judge.
Okay, I trust everybody's had an opportunity to read the minutes from the June 18 meeting, which were circulated in advance to us last week. So I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading and approve them as prepared.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The ayes have it. The minutes are, I'm distracted here, the minutes are approved. Our district attorney is trying to dial in, but so I'm going to call him and put him on speaker. Hello.
Hi, how are you, Judge?
Good, Mark. We're on the air. We're moving right along. We just had the Pledge of Allegiance and approves the minutes. So I have you on speaker.
Wonderful, thank you for accommodating.
Okay, all right. So next item on the agenda, anybody from the public wish to address the board on agenda items? I see no takers, so we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is a motion to approve all the current payables for the Community Correction Center and the prison. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review those. They were circulated as well in advance of the meeting. So I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
I have a second on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Current payables are approved. Next, we'll go to Controller DeBillio for your report.
Yes, Judge. Thank you. Controller's report for the prison, inmate, and canteen accounts for June of 2024. The Controller's Office reviewed the prison, inmate, and canteen account reconciliations, which were prepared by the Prison Business Office for the month of May 2024 and found no discrepancies between the reconciliations and the bank statement. The balance in the inmate account was $433,380.65 as of June 30th, 2024. The balance in the canteen checking account was $425,496.49 as of June 30th. In addition, as of June 30th, the canteen account also included a balance in the Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust, known as Pliget, for investment accounts worth $900,569.70, earning approximately $3,800 per month, which will mature in July of 2024. During the month of June, $98,904.85 was paid from the canteen account for the benefit, welfare, and education of our county inmates, and an itemized detail of those expenses are attached to my report. And I'd also like to mention, if I may, that at our last June meeting, we voted to renew our July 11th 6-month investment with Pliget prior to knowing what the rate would have been come July 11th. Happy to report that $817,108.06 was renewed for 6 months at a rate of 5.32%. It had been at 5.36 annually and will renew next on January the 9th, 2025. The same situation now applies with our other 6-month Pliget investment of about $102,000, which is scheduled to renew July 24th prior to our next meeting. Therefore, today we should take a vote to renew that 6-month investment at the rate that will be in effect come July the 24th.
Questions for the controller, anybody? So are you asking for a vote to renew the other account?
I think that would be in order, Judge.
Okay, all right. And do we have, I understand that the rates change day to day. Do we have anything to suggest what a rate range might be?
Last we checked, my deputy Reggie Mariani, what was the rate most recent?
Today's rate is 5.27.
5.27. A little bit lower than what it's currently earning, 5.32. Come July 24th, it could be a little bit different than 5.27,
Okay,
but we won't know until then.
right, okay, and that's a week today. So is there a motion to renew at the prevailing rate as of the 24th of July? Okay, do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't hear your vote, Mr. Powell.
I said aye.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. So will that be enough time to get whatever paperwork needs to get done?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the ayes have it, so that will be renewed as of next Wednesday. Okay.
Yes.
Anything
And that
further?
concludes my report.
Okay. So we have any other questions for the controller? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report.
Motion.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the controller's report for July of 2024 is approved. Thank you.
And if I may mention one other thing, Judge, I'd like to inform the board that my office recently helped the prison business office detect the fact that $225,000 from the Department of Justice for U.S. Marshal federal inmates was sent to another prison facility back in November of 2023. Specifically, my deputy, Reggie Mariani, was a real crackerjack. And for younger people, that means good. This is outside of our normal auditing activity of prison accounts, and Reggie was able to detect that along with the help of the prison business office, and the Department of Justice has acknowledged that the $225,000 is on its way to us, which helps our prison and our taxpayers. $525,000, not $225,000. That's even better.
That's more.
That's more money. $300,000 more.
So DOJ says the check's in the mail?
It's in the mail.
Okay.
Yes, we didn't get it yet, but
Fast.
it's on its way.
Are we tracking it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Reggie, appreciate that.
Good job, Reggie.
Okay, and thank you, Kerry. Next, we'll hear the Community Corrections Center report. Mr. McConaughey.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the house arrest report for the month of June. Adult house arrest had 178 participants. Juvenile had 21. Program's revenues, house arrest had $54,904.79. Juvenile had $4,450 for a total of $59,354.79. Year-to-date totals for both departments is $356,123.75. Programs expenses is $74,092.98. Programs completions was 33, violations were 8. We now have 4 outstanding warrants for house arrest. Budget overall, overtime's at 22%, expenses at 50%, and revenues at 53%. And that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. McConaughey. Any questions for Norm? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report.
Motion.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Do I have a second? Second. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. McConaughey.
Good day.
Appreciate it. Next, we'll hear from Warden Betty.
Good afternoon, Board. The average daily population for June was 807 inmates, 641 were county inmates. We averaged 701 adult males, 10 juvenile males, and 96 adult females for the month. And the average daily population of U.S. Marshal detainees was 166. Our overtime and out-of-county boarding reports are attached. Our staffing update, currently our correctional officer numbers break down to 170 full-timers on shift, 4 out on workers' comp, 1 on continuous FMLA, 89 with intermittent FMLA, 1 on administrative leave, and 6 full-time vacancies, for a total of 182 full-time officers. The budget as of June 30th, revenue was at 34% and expenses were at 50%. Extraordinary occurrence reports. There were 4 extraordinary occurrences in the month of June. On June 5th, a newly committed male inmate was uncooperative with the booking process. His behavior began to escalate and he started to threaten staff. A decision was made to place him into the emergency restraint chair for the safety of all involved. On June 26th, an inmate who was on a suicide prevention watch covered his camera cell and refused to uncover it. A decision was made to relocate him to another cell so that his cell's camera could be uncovered. The pepper ball launcher was used to introduce powder-filled projectile, and upon impact, that projectile burst, releasing a pepper cloud. The individual then complied with the staff's efforts to remove him from the cell, allowing staff the chance to uncover the camera and to sanitize the cell. However, this individual began expressing suicide ideations, and he refused to change into suicide prevention clothing that the prison issues to those on suicide watches, and a decision was made to place him into the emergency restraint chair and place him on a constant watch. Several hours later, the same inmate, who was no longer in the emergency restraint chair, began acting out by covering his cell's camera, and we had to again go into his cell to uncover his camera. Once again, staff used the pepper ball launcher to get this individual to comply with orders, and once again, he then complied. PREA, there were no PREA investigations completed in the month of June, and that concludes my report.
Warden, the money referred to by Controller DeBillio that was sent someplace else by the Justice Department, when that comes in, how much of an impact would that be on your expenses versus revenues?
It might be 0, and the reason I say that is it should get credited to 2023.
Okay.
So anything we were under budget last year will be that much more under budget, or if we are over budget, maybe it brings us down to, I think we were a bit under budget last year, so we'll be $500,000 more under budget last year.
Okay.
If it's closed out, the books, then I guess the money will be credited to this year's and will be beneficial for this year.
Okay. Were we able to determine what fiscal year that money was for?
Yeah, it was for the housing of U.S. Marshals for the month of November 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, they're usually a couple months behind. We don't normally submit the bill, say, for November until the end of December. We submit it for November, and usually we'll get the payment in January or February.
Okay.
So that's why we're just finding out now. I noticed our numbers seemed a little bit off. I called Reggie, and Reggie was able to find where there was an issue there. So thank you, Reggie.
Any other questions for the warden?
Warren, how about these full-time vacancies? Anything going to happen with that? I see there's 4 full-time vacancies.
It's up to 6 now. Yeah, right now, we just recently, our HR department advertised on Indeed. This is a plug for Indeed, I guess. But we had a lot of response to it. So I think overall, we're going through the applications now, but I think we got over 100 applications. I took a good look at them. There's a good quality list of individuals, several of them, a handful or 2 with prior correctional experience, people who are certified in the DOC, maybe even 1 or 2 that are currently working for the Department of Corrections. So I'm very happy what we got, and what we're going to intend on doing is early August is providing tours to individuals and interviewing them, and hopefully we don't have any more vacancies that occur between now and whenever we get the next class going, but the reality is the way it goes, we'll probably have 1 or 2 more vacancies. So I think it's going to be a big help being able to fully staff.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for the warden? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report.
So moved.
To have a second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The warden's report for the month of July is approved. Thank you, Warden. Stick around.
Yep.
Please. Okay. Okay. Anybody from the public wish to address the board at this time?
Good afternoon. Frankie Malacaria, resident Southside.
Nice hat.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Love the bow tie today.
Thank you.
I'm here because a bunch of us volunteers have been working diligently about bringing voting into the prison this year. We spoke with Colleen. I believe she responded to us yesterday, and Sal Ortiz about getting in there. I got 5 volunteer packs that volunteers should be filling out today. Hopefully we can get them in by the end of the week so that they could be processed so that we can get folks in there as soon as possible. I've been working as an admin director for a voter registration campaign locally. So I've been heavily involved with registering folks, know the ins and outs. I've been talking with Ed twice a week downstairs in the elections office. So I think we're very prepared for this. On our end, I think there are still a couple of steps that need to be taken. Logistically, on election day or prior to election day, how the residents inside the prison will be able to cast their votes is still something that is unclear. Whether there will be a drop box, I think is possibly the best way to do it, and then having a constable bring that back. That would be something that you commissioners would have to discuss as part of the elections board, I believe. But figuring out exactly what's going to happen on election day so that the Board of Elections, Beth downstairs, can figure out what has to be done on their end. We foresee there's going to be a lot of errors with the forms, hopefully not so much. That I have a lot of experience with this now. We figured out how they have to register, to what address. So all those logistics have been figured out with the elections board downstairs. But we urge you to try to step on figuring out the logistics of the actual voting for the inmates. Any questions from me, for us?
No, I think, over the last couple of years, we've been working, I know, with Bev, and anybody who wants to volunteer on this issue. And so, the board fully supports the voting efforts of anybody out there who's eligible to vote, and working with the prison as well to try and make it as smooth as possible. There are, as you well know, regulations and rules that have to be followed to, if those votes are going to be considered valid and counted, which is what everybody wants to have happen. So I'm glad you're bringing it up in July, and I'm happy to see that you're, getting a good start on it.
One concern that we did hear from folks inside is distribution of newspapers haven't been daily. That sometimes they don't see a newspaper for sometimes a few days. So if, maybe the person that does it is out sick that day or whatever, but if, especially as we're gearing up into an election, information about politicians and all that is super important. So if we can ensure that they're getting those daily, I think that would be great. But appreciate how smooth everything's been going, working with y'all. All right.
Okay.
Just wanted to provide an
Great.
update. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Frank. Eileen?
Eileen Acapinti, Dunmore. To follow up, I did speak with Colleen and Sal, and we will have volunteers going in for the voter registration. And now they've simplified it with the Bureau of Elections that the application for the voter registration is with your mail-in ballot request. So that's a win-win. And we're going to be a little more organized. My question is, we have a lot of out-of-state people that are living in the prison, and last year we would call the state of New York and try to get an application and all that. I'm wondering, do they have the access on the tablet to request a voter registration in their own state? Can they do that on the tablet, or they don't have that access? Because I don't want to take that upon us if we can just focus on Pennsylvania.
My initial response would be no, because they don't have
Outside.
regular general browser access. It's very secure.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
So,
Do you have any ideas of how we can, because I think there's a significant amount of them,
out of state.
and we have to provide them a pathway.
Right.
Anybody have any ideas?
Maybe realistically, we can probably figure out who would like to vote, where they are from, what rules are for those individual states, because those states might not allow anyone incarcerated at all to vote.
Oh, yeah, I get that. That's state to state.
So
But last year, I called New York, and they sent me, blank ballots.
Yeah.
I called another time for Nassau County, and it was like, you're breaking the law, you can't ask this is private information. I said, I want a blank ballot. So it could be cumbersome for us. I don't want it to waste the valuable time that we have, because in the past, we've really spent a lot of time, and then at the end, it comes out these people weren't eligible, there was a glitch, or they didn't cross the T or dot the I. We're really trying to get in there early to prevent that, to be successful. And no offense to those people, I don't want to waste our time on that. If there's an easier way to get them on their own to initiate and to vote. Because really, if we are housing them, we, I think, have to provide a pathway for them to obtain their voter registration. Y'all agree with that? We're volunteers, but I think if these people express an interest to vote, we have to get them a way that they can.
If they express an interest in voting in their home districts, I think the first step for you would be to see who's interested and who's.
It's a big problem, you're right.
To save yourself a lot of extra time to do that. But if it's a matter of downloading some blank forms from different jurisdictions, I don't think that's insurmountable. But, the pathway that we provide has to be within our security protocols.
Okay.
So,
I'm thinking of, we'll focus on Pennsylvania, and if we get a list of names, say people that are out of state and are interested in voting, my thought would be to go to the Bureau of Elections here and see if they could obtain from, does that make sense? They can't do that?
in Pennsylvania, it's a county-by-county system. Each county runs their own elections. Different state.
But the state of Pennsylvania has the same form for all of Pennsylvania.
Yes, but we can just get the form, like the
Right.
judge was saying, from the other county, from the other state, and bring it in.
Okay. And sometimes you can't, and I did have a problem doing that last year. And as I said, I don't want to be bogged down by that, but okay, we'll work on it. I'm sorry?
if somebody's out of state, state, they can see if they have a loved one at home. that
That's what I'm
maybe-
thinking, yeah. They can pick up a form for them. But then it's the mail issue then.
We can figure it out.
How do they get it to them?
Yeah.
Sign-up sheet now.
Right, if you're out of state, okay. Okay, all right, thank you.
I get it.
How you doing, Board? Kevin Herrick. I do the AA meetings in the prison. Just want to report that, things are going really well. I've just talked to Jason this morning, and we expanded the program. We're actually doing 5 units right now. And I'm not going to lie, we're probably averaging 30 people a meeting, which is really unbelievable. You go to meetings on the street, and there's not 30 people in there. And it's not a captive audience. I have a lot of people that are really participating. We did get Sean Bingham approved to come in, and we're going to start bringing him in on Wednesday nights to do a general population and another unit. So, it's going good. But the one thing that I hear a lot from these guys, and I see a lot, is I know there's reentry programs out there, but it's the step from leaving the prison to get into the reentry program to where people are messing up. And, I see some of these guys, they get out, and by the next week, they're right back at it. It really irks the hell out of me that we can't do something to try to speed that reentry up. Maybe, I don't know. I'm at a loss because I've been trying to think, there's a lot of good people in there. There's a lot of people who made mistakes. There's a lot of bad people in there.
Kevin, have you sat with the reentry task force?
I think I need to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are or what.
Talk to me after the meeting.
Okay. But I think, on the other end, I couldn't ask for a better team to be working with. These guys and the guards, Matt Petrie and everybody. It's just unbelievable going in there because I believe it's making a difference. People think. One thing they're going to remember. They're going to remember me. They're going to remember my story. And they're going to remember that, if I got sober, anybody could get sober. And that's really the truth, So I want to thank you for the opportunity to go in there and let these guys know that there is hope,
Another person, another resource is Frank Bollock at the Recovery Bank.
I was just with him. Yep,
Okay.
I was just with him. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. But again, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you. Bev?
Bev DeBarros, Scranton. I want to talk about books. So the precious thing that the inmates have in there is time, and we just need to help them have access to good things for their time that they have there. This is the contract from GTL, and for them to get a book, let's say from a current author, somebody who's still alive, not Shakespeare, not Marcus Aurelius, but they can, from what I understand, they can order that on the tablet, and it costs them 3 cents a minute to read a book. So I went to our library, Albright Library, and talked to one of the librarians, picked this book off the shelf, and I told him what I was asking. I said, please open it and read any page. I will time you how long it takes to read one page at a reasonable rate. And it was like a minute a page. So this book had 449 pages. So compute that out to 3 cents a minute. By the way, it took a minute a page. So it came out to $13.47 to read a book like this. If they wanted to read that and ask a friend of theirs to finance for them to read a book on the tablet, I asked somebody who does give money to a friend that's in there. And I said, what is the charge, say, if you put $20 in their account, and she sent me actually a copy of one of her receipts with the transfer fee. So from that 20 that she would put in, $3.65 is deducted. And then there's still a balance that they can read a book like this. You know that we can pass this book around for free in there, like we did before for several years. I don't know how Luzerne County can conduct the same program that we did without incident. We never had an incident with a volunteer. There was one incident that did not involve a volunteer. It was investigated. We were accused, and I have all the paperwork. I have all the emails back and forth, and I could provide that. But it would be embarrassing to the county to hear that, what happened that time. But I could. So I'm just asking, reconsider. The only difference between passing out this and charging for this is so that somebody along the way can make money. Is this how we want to make money off of our inmates who might be in there for child support? For so many reasons, they're in there, and it does not make sense to me. Also, while I'm here, about the benches, so many issues. Thanks.
Thank you, Bev. Anybody else from the public wish to address the board at this time? Any business from any of the members?
Quick question for the warden. Warden, how do you feel about the book situation and books being passed around? Do you mind?
I am actually, although some people may not believe this, I'm an advocate for having reading materials. It keeps the, what do they say about idle hands in the devil's workshop and all that? I'd rather have somebody doing something like that. There are two methods to get a book at this point in time. One of them is to order it from a place like Amazon. It could be delivered, and yes, that costs money. And the other way is what Bev was describing through the tablet, and that costs money. We have and had issues with contraband. Without getting into too much detail, there is a way to soak paperwork with substances that people can get high off of. And that's why we stopped it. We didn't stop it because of Bev or the volunteer group that was doing that, but the risk is too high out there. So we stopped doing that at this point in time. I'm open to considering new things, like maybe reaching out to local libraries. They always have extra book sales, and this way here, you couldn't intentionally know what's been tainted and what hasn't if you're an inmate. So that's always something. I talked briefly with Tracy Hart about that in the past. She sits on the, I think it's the Abington Library Board, or she's involved with them.
I have a question, Warden, up here. Maybe you should look into how other counties do it, because, I mean, I know just from doing my own research that there are many other counties in the country that have libraries in the prison. So there must be a way to do it and still, follow the security.
A lot of them are doing what we're doing. A lot of them are doing, I believe Bev mentioned Luzerne County, where they do have actual books there that are being donated or I remember years ago we had Bookmobile used to stop by, and they used to do an exchange program, but that just got to be too much work on those volunteers' part. So again, I will definitely follow up on that, see what everybody else is doing, but I'm always open to any idea. I'd rather have a person reading a book than thinking of things that he could be doing to make my life more difficult.
Tim, what's the feasibility of, I'm going to use the term build, but assemble our own library where we would acquire the books?
Well, about a year and a half ago, maybe as far as 2 years ago, I was coming to the board looking for the approval to use funds from the canteen account that we have $900,000 in one account, $100,000 in the other account, to purchase ebooks so that they would be free. We didn't go that route, but to build a place or to designate an area, right now, in all honesty, Your Honor, the classroom availability isn't there. We're still having difficulty with getting our classrooms to be classrooms because they're being utilized for video court purposes. So that really hampers us with our ability to provide more programming than we're doing, and something like a library space, for lack of a better term, the only place that I could think of would be utilizing one of the classrooms that have dual functions right now.
Can we acquire books, or do we have a place to store them and then let volunteers come and distribute them? But we would be the ones to acquire the books. And that thereby we can control to some degree, or to the best degree we can.
Potentially, that's very feasible.
Okay. Jones got a guy.
Every quarter, the Friends of the Scranton Public Library have a book sale. We do this at the marketplace at Steamtown. And it usually runs, now it's running like Monday through Saturday or something like that. On the last day, we invite teachers and people from nonprofits to come by, and anything that's not been sold, they can just take whatever they want. And Bev, you know this. Where are you, Bev? Okay. But I think it'd be useful if you got in touch with the Friends of the Scranton Public Library, and since this is a nonprofit type of use, you should be able to get any books you want. Okay, they would be free.
Didn't I read they were discontinuing that sale?
No. That is a vicious rumor.
Okay. I read it in the paper, so.
No, it's a vicious rumor.
Enough said.
We have guaranteed, the book sale through 2025, every 3 months, okay? But one of the reasons why we allow people, teachers and nonprofits to come in on the last day and take books is so we don't have to box them up and tote them away. So, it's a win-win for everybody.
Right.
So, I strongly suggest Bev or whomever you want to be a representative, contact the Friends of the Scranton Public Library, which you can do through Scott Thomas, the library CEO. He'll marry you up with them, and I'm sure they would be happy to let you take books for free.
I think we have to do it for security.
Well, then you can do it, okay? But the books are available for free, so you don't have to use prison funds to buy them.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, those books are free, and we always use that source. But first of all, it doesn't cover every, like history, all parenting, a lot of the books. There's numbers of books, but they're not always in the right category.
No, they're not,
But it's a start. But the thing.
the need to spend funds to buy them, and then what you can't get, then maybe you could buy.
But if we buy them with these funds, they come directly from the publisher, which we did with hundreds of dollars of donations. Not everybody comes and donates 10 paperback books. People have donated hundreds of dollars, which I spent, and it was sent directly to the jail. They were still, approved, checked out, and all that by the guards, but they never came like from an outside source. They came from a publisher. And we have enough money to do that, to have a nice library. And as you say, let us volunteers, we never complained that we were overworked. No, our complaint was that we couldn't get in there often enough. So the volunteers can come and have these books available. We go around to the blocks, very simple, sign up, You can take 2 books out. Next week, we come back again. You return those 2, and you can get 2 more. It's just so simple and perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I know I used my 3 minutes, but to follow up on that, the time I've been coming to these meetings, I may be mistaken, but I think twice you approved buying some kind of machine that would screen the mail at first for drugs and books for drugs. Now, I know
Scans
the
it.
mail's taken over.
Yeah.
But we already used, are those machines still available to scan those books that we get as donation? And once they're in the library, then there's no problem with, and once they're in the prison, I mean, no problem with them getting drugs on them then. It's when they come in from the outside, am I correct? That's what the risk is.
We can't scan the books for tainted pages. We have to have a special machine that,
And we don't, that's, those things we bought in the past
they're
are
looking for a
obsolete now.
hard substance.
Okay, all right, well, that's my point, sorry.
Okay, anybody else? All right. So, any other members have any other business? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. We're signing off. Mr. Powell, thank you.